thanks so much, Jen, and thanks so much for having me speak. I'm really excited. And sorry that the slides are kind of all over the place, but if I'm blocking anyone, let me know. I mean, they're just kind of photos. So, all right. So my presentation is about how blockchains are essential for a true metaverse. That's slide one. And slide two. So it's in my opinion that we're living in an autocracy right now. So we're being ruled by a dictator. And what I'm talking about is video games and virtual worlds, right? These are completely centralized systems, and we're relying completely on the game developers to create a fair and open environment. And all the work that we're doing is going directly to the dictator at the top and a small group of developers. And it works, but it's not a great system right now. And perhaps the most terrifying thing is that with a single click of the mouse, the dictator, game developers, they can delete our entire existence. So all the work that we've put in, all the blood, sweat, and tears, that can all be gone in a second. And so that's not ideal. Let's go to slide 3. So we have no rights in virtual realms right now. So we can't earn money. We cannot, we can't earn money. We don't own our property. We actually don't even have the right to free speech oftentimes. And the example that I use here on the slide is that you can see gold, and that's talking about World of Warcraft gold. There's been many players that have been banned from buying gold and selling gold. So you're not even allowed to earn real money and kind of, help pay rent, which is kind of absurd. And you also do not have the right to free speech, crazily enough. Because Blizzard, they have a game called Hearthstone, which is a trading card game. And there was a player who won a tournament. And for his speech, he actually went up on stage and said, "Free Hong Kong." I think it was actually on a live stream, but "Free Hong Kong." He was banned from playing. They shut down his account, deleted all of his cards. And, that's a pretty terrible thing to do. So that, we basically need to find a solution for that. And that solution, slide number 4, is blockchain. So there is a path to freedom. There is a path towards property rights and having an uncensorable financial system, and that is utilizing a blockchain within game and virtual world dynamics. And I'm not talking about property rights in the sense of, okay, here's a legal contract from a lawyer, and it's kind of from some lawyer in America or whatever. I'm talking about the laws are built directly into this code, which is applicable everywhere online, everywhere in the metaverse, on a game, etc. So it's super strong. It's not like, oh, this only applies in America, oh, this only applies in Italy, whatever. It applies everywhere. And also on top of that, we now have access to a financial system that is built of unstoppable and unhackable code. Meaning like something like Ethereum. Like there has been blockchains that have been hacked, but I'm talking about really robust blockchains like Bitcoin and particularly Ethereum because it's programmable. So slide number 5, we're seeing in real life, people like to live in places with strong rights, and people like to invest in places with strong rights. So, for example, China, this chart's a little outdated. It's actually from 2015, but it actually increased until 2018. Wealthy residents of China, they love to buy properties in the US, UK, Australia, etc., because these places have extremely strong rights. And wealthy Chinese people, and it could be people from all over, I'm just using China as an example, they know that their property is not going to arbitrarily be seized by the government, even if they tweet something bad about Trump or they do something bad. They won't just have their assets seized, unlike in some place like China where the property rights are a little weaker. So if we look at slide 6, there's a direct correlation between rule of law and GDP per capita. So what that means is it basically shows that if people know that, hey, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to work really hard, I'm going to try to earn some money and buy a house and buy a car, etc., buy material goods. You want to do that in a place with strong property rights, because if you do that in a place with weak property rights and suddenly the police come and they're the ones that seize your property, that'd be pretty terrible. And what I think is going to happen is kind of a guesstimate, but I think that places like Facebook Horizons or Epic Games and the metaverse that they're building, etc., these big centralized companies, they're going to create these amazing experiences, but the user rights will be zero, if not, basically super minimal, if not zero. And so what will happen is over time, people will flee to places with stronger rule of law or user rights, which will be blockchain-based metaverses, some examples being like CryptoVoxels, Decentraland, etc. Slide number 7. So what is blockchain really enabling? It's 2 things. and it is property rights in a global financial system, as we spoke about before. And with property rights, the users now have direct control over their assets, which is amazing because in a centralized system, like let's say World of Warcraft or something like that, users can play a game, work really hard, acquire a lot of really great rare items, but at the end of the day, they don't actually own those. So now the paradigm is switched where the users actually own those items. That's a huge improvement. And on top of that, we now have this uncensorable global financial system that is Ethereum, for example. And so it would be great if you owned your asset, but it would suck if you didn't have access to the financial rails. That would be like, okay, well, I have it, but I can't do anything. I can't sell it. I can't trade it. That kind of sucks, whatever. But now we have both those in one package. So that's like the best thing that could have happened because now we have economic freedom to buy and sell and trade and do whatever we want. If we go to slide number 8. So basically, and this is kind of true in the real world, confidence in a system, in an economic system, generally leads to prosperity. So if people think that, as I mentioned before, people are going to go to work, and if they think that all their hard work is for nothing because at any time the government or some centralized entity can seize control of their assets, they're probably not going to work that hard. But when they are confident in their property rights, in their finances, they're going to dedicate a lot more time, effort, and money into that system. So whether that is the real world or whether that is a metaverse or a crypto voxels or Decentraland or something like that, they're going to spend much more time and effort building an experience, building their house, building whatever, when they know that they actually own it and they actually can earn potentially some value from doing that. It totally switches the paradigm of what's going on today. And so let's go to slide number 9. You can see that blockchain does not solve every issue, even though it does help us immensely in terms of user rights. We can see that you still have to trust the developers at the end of the day. So on the left side, we see one sword, and let's pretend this is like a super ultra rare sword. There's only one of one, and it's hard coded into the blockchain to only make one of one. But you still have to trust the developer to not make 20 or in this case 8 other swords that are of equal strength, but they're not exactly the same. So we kind of skirted around that rule. He's like, well, I said I was only gonna make one of these swords, and I did. There's only one of one, but I made 8 others that are similar. So it kind of devalues your item and you kind of ruin trust with that developer. And so if something like that happens, that developer, those the dictator, so to speak, they should have their trust dinged. People should realize, hey, these guys did this. Maybe we have to watch out for them because that's kind of an issue. Go to slide number 10, Metaverse Rating Agency. I think that in the future, we could see some sort of platform emerge where people are rating different metaverses because in a sense, each metaverse is like its own country. And so you could have, CryptoVoxels has a really high rating. I'm just kind of saying this, I'm not actually meaning it, but CryptoVoxels, really high rating. Oh, it's amazing. So it's AAA. And then you have Facebook Horizons. Oh, there's no user rights. They do all this bad stuff. You don't actually own your assets. So it's the very, very lowest level of rating. It's kind of like a credit rating score for metaverses. And I think that that's one method to add upon and really strengthen the advantages that blockchain natively gives us. But really, it doesn't stop there. We have to do a little bit more work in order to really create an open, transparent, fair, and amazing metaverse. That's all I've got.
All right, that was awesome.
Thanks, Andrew.
You guys have any questions for me? I'd like to answer anything you guys have.
Are you going to be joining us for the VR chat meetup afterwards? Because it seems like a lot of this stuff is like a lot to unpack.
Yeah, definitely. No, I'd love to answer any questions there and hang out there. I'm going to boot up my PC. I haven't done it in a bit, but I will set that up and I'll join you guys there.
Nice.
So, how is it possible to distribute and resolve 30K transactions per second like a typical MMO? That's a great question. I think blockchains today are in like this. People say that we're often in the 1990s of blockchain in terms of scalability and usability. I actually think we're in the 70s or 80s even when you compare that to scalability of traditional networks, I guess, because blockchain is extremely, as many of you know, it's not scalable at all. Like true distributed open blockchains, they're extremely inefficient right now, extremely slow. But I still think that over time, we will solve those issues. It's going to take 10, 15 years to get there, but we will solve it. I don't think that just because it's bad today doesn't mean it's going to stay bad in 10, 15 years from now. No, I'm not a network engineer. I've never launched a scaled network. Shock hat. Okay. All right, guys. Thanks so much. I'm going to delete these slides now. Thank you.
Great, thanks.